happy to join with you today, my friends, in what will go down in history as the greatest demonstration for freedom in the history of our nation. 50 years ago, a great American in whose symbolic shadow we stand today signed the Emancipation Proclamation. This momentous decree came as a great beacon light of hope to millions of Negro slaves who had been seared in the flames of withering injustice. It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity. But 100 years later, we are still not free. 100 years later, the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later, the Negro is languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. And so we've come here today to dramatize what is a shameful condition. In a sense, we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check when the great architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence. They were signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall heir. This note was the promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the inalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It is obvious today, insofar as her citizens of color are concerned, that as America has defaulted on this promissory note and given the Negro people a check that has come back marked insufficient funds. But we refuse to believe that the Bank of Justice is bankrupt. And so we've come here today to cash this check, a check that will give us upon demand the riches of freedom and the security of justice. We have also come to this hallowed spot to remind America of the fierce urgency of now. Now is the time to make real the promises of democracy. Now is the time to rise from the dark and desolate valley of racial segregation to the sunlit path of racial justice. Now is the time to lift our nation from the quicksands of racial injustice to the solid rock of brotherhood. Now is the time to make justice a reality for all God's children. We must forever conduct ourselves on the high planes of dignity and discipline. We must never allow our creative protest to generate into physical violence. We must continue to rise to the majestic heights of meeting physical force with soul force. The marvelous new militancy which has engulfed the Negro community must not lead us to a mistrust of all white people. For many, as evidenced by their participation today, have come to realize that their destiny is tied up with our destiny. And their freedom is inextricably bound to our freedom. And as we walk, we must make the pledge that we will always march ahead. We cannot turn back. There are those who are asking the devotees of civil rights, when will you be satisfied? We can never be satisfied as long as a Negro is a victim of unspeakable horrors of police brutality. We can never be satisfied as long as our bodies, heavy with the fatigue of travel, cannot gain lodging in the motels of the highways and the hotels of the cities. We cannot be satisfied as long as our children are stripped of their dignity and robbed of their selfhood by signs stating, "For whites only." No, we are not satisfied, and we will not be satisfied until justice rolls down like waters and righteousness as a mighty stream. I'm not unmindful that many of you come fresh from narrow jail cells. Some of you have come from areas where your quest for freedom have left you battered by the storms of persecution and staggered by the winds of police brutality. You have been the veterans of creative suffering. Continue to the work with the faith that unearned suffering is redemptive. Go back to Mississippi, go back to Alabama, go back to South Carolina, go back to Georgia, go back to Louisiana, go back to the slums and ghettos of our northern cities, knowing that this situation can and will be changed. So I say to you today, my friends, that even though we face the difficulties of today and tomorrow, I still have a dream. It is a dream deeply rooted in the American dream. I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Now I have a dream that one day on the red hills of Georgia, the sons of former slaves and the sons of former slave owners will be able to sit down together at the table of brotherhood. I have a dream. One day, even the state of Mississippi, a state sweltering with the heat of injustice, sweltering with the heat of oppression, that one day right there in Mississippi be transformed into an oasis of freedom and justice. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day my 4 little children will live in a nation where they'll not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream today. I have a dream that one day, down in Alabama, with its vicious racists, with its governor having his lips dripping with the words of interposition and nullification, that one day right there down in Alabama, little black boys and black girls will be able to join hands with little white boys and white girls as sisters and brothers. I have a dream today. I have a dream. One day every valley shall be exalted, every hill and mountain shall be made low, the rough places shall be made straight, and the crooked places shall be made plain, and the glory of the Lord shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together. This is our hope. This is the faith that I go back to the South with. And with this faith, we will be able to hew out of the mountain of despair a stone of hope. With this faith, we will be able to transform the jangling discords of our nation into a beautiful symphony of brotherhood. With this faith, we will be able to work together, pray together, struggle together, go to jail together, stand up for freedom together, knowing that we'll be free one day. This will be the day when all of God's children will be able to sing with new meaning, "My country, 'tis of thee." Sweet land of liberty of the I sing, land where my fathers died, land of the pilgrim's pride, from every mountainside, let freedom ring. And if America's to be a great nation, this must become true. So let freedom ring from the prodigious hilltops of New Hampshire. Let freedom ring from the mighty mountains of New York. Let freedom ring from the hiding alligators of Pennsylvania. Let freedom ring from the snow-capped Rockies of Colorado. Let freedom ring from the curvaceous slopes of California. But not only that, Let freedom ring from Stone Mountain of Georgia. Let freedom ring from Lookout Mountain of Tennessee. Let freedom ring from Hill and Mole Hill of Mississippi, from every mountainside. When this happens, when we allow freedom ring, when we let it ring from every village and every hamlet, from every state and every city, we will be able to speed up that day when all of God's children, black men and white men, Jews and Gentiles, Protestants and Catholics, will be able to join hands and sing in the words of the old Negro spiritual, free at last, free at last, thank God Almighty, we are free at last.
Steven Loewenstein. If you felt that somewhere in the pit of your stomach, if you got a little misty, it's all right.